Stone Cold Prose. Building better words.
What are horror movies without horror villains? And why do some horror movie bad guys become iconic while others, even when the movies were actually successful, fade into oblivion? Hi guys, welcome back to Stone Cold Prose, where we build better words, better thoughts, and better men. I'm Miles Watson, novelist and author of numerous award-winning series including Cage Life, Sinner's Cross, and The Chronicles of Magnus. I worked in Hollywood for 12 years, law enforcement for another 10, and now I break it all down and build it back better. So let's get into this. I just use the word iconic, specifically, because it means regarded as a representative symbol or worthy of veneration. I've come to believe that some horror villains endure because they are physical representations of specific fears which we all share. They cut, so to speak, right at our collective nerve. I also believe, however, that the fears of the public change over time, and that familiarity can breed contempt, which in this context means that the icon no longer inspires fear. In the old days of horror, Dracula, the Wolfman, Frankenstein's monster, and pretty much anyone wrapped in enough bandages to be called a mummy pressed pretty hard on the public psyche. They were scary. Over time, though, they lost their power to frighten and had to be replaced. And beginning in 1978 with Halloween, they were. So without further ado, let's have a look at some of the most popular, the most iconic horror villains of the modern horror era, and let's get into what I think they actually represent and see if you agree. We'll start with Chucky from Child's Play. Chucky is every creepy doll you ever saw on the shelf of your spinster aunt's guest bedroom at 3 a.m. To some extent, he's also every creepy clown you encountered at a birthday party. He's supposed to be cute and innocent and fun, but he's not. He's creepy. His offer of friendship is fake, and he's nursing some horrible agenda that probably includes taking you into a soundproof basement somewhere, the kind with a drain in the floor. The fact that you know this, and your parents don't, is what makes him so scary. After all, they let him in the house. And now he's in your bedroom at 3 a.m, staring at you. Friends till the end. Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is that greasy old man who lives alone in a dilapidated house at the end of the block on a dead-end street. He drives a rusty, dirty old car and snarls every time you look at him or come near his property. Nobody knows what the hell he does for a living. Nobody knows what goes on in his home. In real life, he's probably a harmless recluse. But in your kid imagination, he's got an attic full of mummified children and a basement full of torture tools. He's the monster that lives next door and doesn't bother to hide what he is. If you pass by his house at night or even on a quiet afternoon when there are no witnesses, you'll never be seen again. But you may be heard screaming. Leatherface is the epitome of the hostile outsider, the other, the one who doesn't want to sit by the fire and tell ghost stories because he'd rather be the ghost, or rather make you into one. He plays by his own twisted, cannibalistic set of rules. God help you, if you play with him, you'll be served for dinner. Now, Pinhead, the Hell Priest from Hellraiser, is what happens when, to quote the movie Mean Streets, you fuck around with the infinite. He's Frankenstein's monster. He's the Necronomicon, the Ouija board, the game of Bloody Mary. He's the dare to sleep in the cemetery or visit the haunted house or say the Lord's Prayer backwards. Pinhead is what happens when you knock on the forbidden door and somebody actually answers. He doesn't come to your home to kill you. He waits for you to come to him and then smirks when you try to change your mind and leave. He's the dare you should not have taken. He's the apple in Eden. He's scary not just because of what he does to you with those hooks, but because you asked him to do it. This is what you wanted to see. This is what you wanted to know. Now you know. Ghostface from Scream is a variation on a theme. Actually several themes. Like Michael Myers, he's capricious. Like Leatherface and Freddy, he lives next door or down the street. But unlike them, he's so completely normal. You'd never suspect him of even having bad manners, much less being a bloodthirsty killer who's just as happy to butcher a close friend or a lover as a complete stranger. Ghostface is not just your neighbor, he may be your friend, your brother, even your wife. In a sense, Ghostface is the dark corner within every human mind, except that his corner is a lot darker and a lot larger than most, and it's full of pointy objects. And instead of avoiding that place, he lives there. He's the guy who puts on the sad face over your misfortune when inside he's diabolically laughing because he caused it. He's the one who lets you cry on his shoulder because your girlfriend got the axe when he was the one who axed her. He's the fear that we don't really know anyone and can't trust anyone. He's the guy who you never suspect until you feel the steel in your back. Now, Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street is the summation of a simple fear, or rather several simple fears. Every child wants to believe they are safe at home and that their parents will protect them from whatever comes calling, whatever wants to do them harm. Every child wants to believe that their room is the safest place in the world, the safest place of all, and when they sleep, nothing can get them, not monsters nor madmen, as long as their feet aren't sticking out under the blankets. Freddy is living proof that this belief is bullshit. He wants to kill you, to terrorize you, and to cut you into bloody ribbons, and he wants to do it not at some isolated sleepaway camp or scary abandoned house, but in your own bed, in your own house, with your parents sleeping in the next room. He wants to show you no place is safe and no one can help you. It's this last theme that Freddy specializes in. He attacks you where you're weakest and most vulnerable, and in such a way that nobody will ever believe you, except maybe other kids who he's going to kill anyway. He's like Norman Bates in Psycho, but instead of the shower, he gets you in your bed in your dreams. The awfulness of Freddy is that he makes your bed and your dreams the scariest places on earth. That refuge you had? Gone. Welcome to adult life, where bed is a demon's playground. Jason Voorhees of Friday the 13th fame is death, pure and simple. He may take on the guise of a vengeance-driven madman or a killer zombie. He may tap into the primal fear of being hunted and slaughtered. But these are just clothes he wears, like his hockey mask. Jason, and I'm quoting Robert Englund here, is death. Death coming for your ass. The mask is actually a giveaway in that regard. It's awfully reminiscent of a skull, the skull of the Grim Reaper, with the exception that the Grim Reaper grins and Jason has no mouth. It's not only that he's silent, but that he has nothing to say, even he could speak. Jason is all business. He's merciless. He has no pity and no fear and no remorse, and he's obsessive and single-minded. He wants to kill you. He wants to kill everybody. Why? Because he's a killer. Shoot him, stab him, set him on fire. He just gets up and keeps coming. His desire for murder is insatiable. He'll kill your mom, your pregnant wife, your wheelchair-bound best friend, your brother, your dog, you, and even if you banish him tonight, you can bet your bottom dollar he'll be back tomorrow. Because, like death, he won't stop until he gets you. Just ask that chick from part 1 and part 2. Michael Myers from Halloween is the boogeyman. Pure and simple. He has no personality, no language, no backstory of any real meaning, and no motive. Nobody knows what he looks like, really. He's just a shape, if you will, filled with bad intentions. He's the walking embodiment of the Book of Job, a bad thing that happens to good people for absolutely no reason. Unlike Jason, he isn't driven by a need for vengeance, and he isn't interested in slaughtering everyone he meets. Oh no, he's interested in slaughtering you. You, specifically. Why? Because he chose you, that's why. He singled you out for his special attentions. Why? He doesn't know. He specializes in not knowing. He didn't pick you because you're bad or because you're good. Nobody knows why he picked you. Even he may not know. Michael is the summation of your fear of the dark, a kind of avatar of all the shapeless dreads you ever had late at night when you couldn't sleep and the branches were squeaking on the window and the closet door was a bit ajar and you wondered what the hell was lurking in it. Michael is a cancer diagnosis. He's a random madman with an axe, a faulty brake line. He's the thing that comes along out of the night and changes everything for the worse. And never once gives you a reason why he did it. Candyman endures because he's a blend of icons. On the one hand, like Jason Voorhees, he's simply the spirit of blind vengeance. On the other, like Freddy Krueger, his vengeance is tempered by a need to be feared, a need to be believed in, without which he will cease to exist. Candyman's mantra is, "Say my name," a reminder that evil requires participation. And on the third hand, we're talking horror here, I can have 27 hands and 7 mouths if I want, plus a tentacle. He's much more subtle and nuanced take on the vampire myth, the Dracula mythos. Vampires usually don't just stalk and kill, they engage in a kind of sensual, ritualistic dance with their victims, which involves a strong element of seduction and lots of promises, some of which may actually be kept. Candyman is like that. One of his catchphrases is, "Be my victim," which is an invitation and not a threat. Yes, he's going to destroy you, but on some level you may actually enjoy it. And regardless, it will be the wildest and most romantic of all deaths. He's terrifying not because he's going to kill you, but because on some strange level you kind of want him to, and he knows it. Like Pinhead, Candyman represents everything taboo in life, as well as the desires we have to violate those taboos, to knock on forbidden doors, to say Candyman in front of the mirror. He's the dare you take to sleep in the haunted house, not because you were dared, but because you want to. Candyman is the satisfaction of a death wish. L'appel du vide. Now, by now you might be wondering, okay, smart guy, you know so much about horror. Tell me who you're afraid of. The answer is that last guy, well, second to last guy, Jason, the big rotting mask-faced zombie with the machete. He scared the nuts off me when I was 9 years old and again when I was 13, and he kept scaring me for decades afterwards. Old as I am now, on the right night, he can still occasionally summon up the old terror. Because I'm afraid of death? Well, yeah, sure, but no more than anyone else is. It's not death, dying of old age, for example, that scares me. It's the fact that Jason is not just death, but death with rabies. He's random, premature, utterly pointless and meaningless death without dignity. Getting off by Michael Myers at least means that you were special in Michael's mind. But to Jason, you're just machete bait, just prey, just a victim waiting to happen, forgotten as soon as your head falls off, like that guy in Part 5. It's one thing to die on a battlefield for the freedom of your people, or in your own doorway with a gun in hand, defending it against invaders. It's quite another to escape to a cabin for a romantic weekend and end up with a railroad spike through your forehead for no other reason than Pamela Voorhees never taught her son to swim. Stupid bitch. The most interesting aspect of examining all this stuff is that as a former makeup effects artist, I have actually met a number of people who scared the shit out of me as a kid. I've met Pinhead. I've met 2 or 3 of the guys who played Jason Voorhees. I've met Freddy Krueger, too. I've seen John Carpenter, who directed, obviously, Halloween, but also The Thing in the Fog, perform his music on stage, and attended a Q&A once with Stuart Gordon, who's responsible for Reanimator. I've chatted with horror movie heroines like Ashley Lawrence from Hellraiser and Heather Langenkamp from Nightmare on Elm Street, and I've met and worked with OG makeup artists, real makeup artists, who worked on most of the films that I've mentioned in this video. I've had my own hands covered in crap by foam latex and silicone and fake blood, which provides the scares in these types of films, and I know as well or better as anyone how industrial a process of making horror movies is. In short, I ought to be as immune as anyone could possibly be from the power of the horror movie, but I'm not. Because while Chucky may just be a prop and Michael a sweaty stuntman in a William Shatner mask, the things they represent are very real. And that's why they scare us, and that's why we pay them to do it. Folks, if you liked today's video, please remember to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and remember that I drop scripted content every Friday at 3 p.m., shorts every day of the week, and unscripted rants whenever rage or stupidity moves me to do so. See you next time, and until then, stay cold and stay out of the damn woods and don't open this box.